everybody, I'm Penny the Dragon and welcome back to Buried. Sorry it's been a while since I played this one. Like I said in a few other videos, I had to restart my computer and this is the first time I've played it since then, so I had to go through all the other chapters I've already played. Anyways, moving on. We follow Marcus into what I can only describe as a control room of sorts. There are countless computer screens, some of which are obviously coming back on from having been shut off. Everything looks extremely complicated, from screens filled with code and data to what is obviously a security system. It reminds me of a miniaturized version of the Operations Center in just about every space travel movie I've ever seen. Marcus is running from one screen to another, apparently looking for some pertinent bit of information. "Where's the first aid kit?" I snap at him. Marcus stops in his tracks as if he has forgotten the whole reason for bringing us down here. "Oh yeah," he says, rushing to the left side of the room. There he hunkers down by an open panel in the wall, what I assume is the emergency vault, from where he got the rifle. Peer into the vault. I peer over Marcus's shoulder into the vault he's opened. It's much larger than it looks from the outside. It's partially filled with file folders marked classified, a few rounds of ammo for the rifle, a peculiar plastic kit filled with syringes, and a locked black box. As Marcus digs around, one of the folders slips open. For the split second it's open, I cannot speak. I see a scanned document and a color photo. The photo shows a male corpse with its guts on the outside of its body as if it's been turned inside out. Wonderful. There's also massive swelling on his head, almost like his skull is about to explode. Marcus slaps the folder closed, and then I turn my attention to one of the syringes. It's filled with a violet-colored fluid that, while rather pretty in color, looks deadly. Marcus finally pulls out the first aid kit and turns around. When I look back to motion Dennis over, he's paler than ever. "Come on," I tell him, but he's not moving from the place on the floor where he sits against the wall. I slide the first aid kit over to him and go scrambling to his side. Between the struggle for the rifle upstairs and arriving in this room, he's faded fast. I struggle to lift his shirt up and then over his shoulders as the dried blood holds it in place. The mere act causes him to grimace. "This might hurt a little," I tell Dennis. He only nods. He doesn't seem to care. It's gonna hurt a lot either way, pulling it off gently or just ripping it off. And I did tell him that, so I'm just gonna pull it off quickly. Figuring that the old rip off the band-aid metaphor applies here, I tear the shirt off him quickly. Plus, I don't feel like we exactly have a lot of time. Dennis lets out a scream of pain and fury. "What the hell, man?" "Sorry," I say, casting the bloody shirt aside for the moment. Winced in pain, he leans against the wall and takes a series of deep breaths. His wound is more visible now, although it's partially hidden by the blood that started to clot around it. My medical knowledge is slim, basically just a bunch of basics I learned in Boy Scouts. I look over to Marcus hopefully and ask, "You have any training?" "Zero," he says. "Sorry." It's just as well, I guess. He's far too concerned with what's happening on the monitors to be of much help anyway. I start by taking out the several rolls of gauze within the kit and wipe as much blood as I can away from the wound on his side. That's probably not the best idea. It's even worse than I'd figured from the start. The gash is deep and dark. I'm pretty sure it's infected too. You cannot possibly know that already. He's going to need stitches, that's for sure, but I have no idea how to even start that. Besides, I don't see the tools for it in the kit. When I splash rubbing alcohol over the wound, he responds with a hoarse yelp of surprise, but nothing more. His eyes are locked on me and he looks appreciative, but he's also scared. "Be honest," Dennis says hopefully. "How bad does it look? You think I'll live?" "You'll be fine, no problem." No reason to worry him, even if I think it's bad. "Good to know," he says, "because I sure don't feel like that." "You've been through hell," I say. "I think it feels worse than it actually looks." "Thanks, that's a relief." "I won't lie, you're going to have a scar," I say, trying to be funny. He chuckles a bit, but there's no humor in it. He rests his head against the wall and closes his eyes as I finish up. I place one layer of gauze against the wound and bind it with medical tape. I then reinforce it with a second layer. I know it's meager, but it's all I can do. "Thanks, Roger," he says, actually managing to force out a smile. "I feel a lot better. I think I'll be fine." I'm not so sure about that, but I'm glad I was able to encourage him. Finally, I patch up the bruises on my head a bit, cursing myself again for not grabbing my hard hat. I look back to Marcus, and he's looking back at us deep in thought. Maya's starting to really swell up from where he kicked me earlier. Maybe I shouldn't have let him off so easy. "Are these first aid kits all you have in this facility?" I ask him. "If there's something better, I don't know about it," he says. I noticed then that his defensive posture is no longer there. Something is different now. Just a slight change in his demeanor. He's seen something on the monitors that has him frightened. More than he already was before. What is it? I ask. What's wrong? His eyes travel around the room and it's obvious that he's trying to decide whether or not to tell me the truth. Well, I'm not going to understand whatever's on those monitors, so I'm just going to keep telling him. Just what the hell's going on here, I ask, not even really sure I want to know the answer. His defiant gaze tells me he's not going to be any help, so I decide to look around for myself. After a few moments, I see a few things that even I can comprehend hidden the complex information on most of the screens. On one screen, I see what looks like a power meter that's slowly climbing upwards. A single message is flashing beneath it. It reads, "Unexpected power failure. Foreign entity." Another message trickling along the bottom of a black screen says, "Safety locks on level 3, containment doors engaged. Override." I still see scenes on a few other screens that I assume are security cameras showing hallways and passages from elsewhere in the facility. One of them shows the first level hallway we were on just a few moments ago. Another shows a hallway I don't recognize. The floor is covered in blood. From just off the screen, I see what I think might be a human body, but it's bent in an impossible way. It looks like the body's legs and torso have somehow been merged or melted into the floor. What happened to that person there? I have no idea. I didn't see it, he says. Whatever happened to that guy must have happened in the last minute or so. What the hell, I ask. Is something still happening? Are we still in danger? He turns away, clearly fearing he's already said too much. And as bad as that is, there's a scene on another monitor that makes my blood go cold and my fears spike to levels somewhere near terror. The scene is very familiar. It's the logging site. The equipment is unmistakably mine. I can even see my truck. Something like fury starts to rise up in my gut, momentarily pushing aside the fear. For a moment I consider just tearing into him, a few punches and a shove against the wall, nothing more. I want answers and I want them now, but I'm not sure which would provide more answers, asking calmly or kicking his ass. I'm just gonna ask calmly. I don't think this guy's gonna respond to violence. Could you please explain to me why you've been spying on my crew? My anger is prodding at me and I have to hold it back again. It's near the surface, demanding a release. It was part of my job, mine and a few others. Your crew's been watched ever since you set up your equipment. Why? Because you're working with heavy equipment, some of which digs into the ground less than a mile from a secret government facility. I had no idea of that, I said. How could I have known? Marcus gives me that same crooked, trembling smile that's beginning to creep me out. Because those things would draw attention to this place, he says. You have no idea how secretive this facility is. Besides, I know that the higher-ups looked into it. Your site isn't on government land. It's shy by about 300 yards. Every piece of your equipment is on private property, the timber tract you purchased from Mr. Gladstone 2 months ago. So if you wanted to intervene and keep your crew away, we couldn't have without stirring up a fuss. The fact that someone with such a low-level clearance knows this much about my logging crew is unnerving. If you've been watching us, why didn't you recognize us when we met in the hallway, I ask. He shakes his head and exhales, like it's obvious. The cameras have a bird's eye view. I can't see faces. We just track bodies and names. So where the hell is my crew? Look, Marcus says, all of you were on site as usual before the incident. It had been a few hours since I had checked, though. I can tell he's starting to get rattled by this interrogation. He continues with his eyes fixed on the keyboard. They might have come near the facility, or maybe not. I don't know. I'd tell you if I did, okay? Well, are they inside the facility, I shout? You have cameras everywhere, right? Look for them. Marcus puts his hands up defensively. I've been looking all over and I haven't seen your crew. But, he adds, the lower levels don't have any cameras. Classified. I'm not sure how they would have gotten down there, but it's a possibility. I'm still shocked that we were being watched. Do they know everything about us? I'm telling you, Marcus says. The depth of influence in this facility goes deep. There are 36 employees down here. Outside of those employees, only 5 other people know this place exists. Ask calmly. What do all these people do here, I ask, keeping my voice level. He doesn't even pause to consider if he should go any further. He actually laughs when he gives me the answer. I honestly don't know everything, probably very little, but what I do know is that it's more than Black Ops. What does that mean, I ask. There's scientists here who've been disowned by their own governments because of the nature of their work. Do you get it now? I don't, not at all, but I don't want him to know about that. You said there are 36 employees, I say. Where are they now? He shakes his head. As far as I know, everyone else is gone. Gone where? He points to the screen that still informs us of the unexpected power failure and cringes. If this power failure was not corrected in time, there's no telling. But they're here in the facility somewhere, right? I ask, hoping someone will be able to help Dennis better than I can. I just don't know, Marcus says. They could be anywhere. Look, I say, furious with the way he's talking in riddles. I don't... Oh, God, Dennis says. I look over to him and he looks as pale as a ghost. He stood up and his eyes are locked on the monitor closest to him. What? I ask. He simply points to the monitor and then looks away. I look to the monitor and see the logging site, but more specifically I see the overturned dozer and the legs sticking out from under it, wearing work boots. Right where I left him. Tony. The fact of his death seems abstract, almost like it happened in some other world or a very long time ago. I know that you already told me he was gone, Dennis whispers, but it's different actually seeing him. My God. Suddenly something blazes by the open door outside. The shape is fast and in shadow, but I'm pretty sure it's a person. Someone else is here, Marcus says, wheeling around. He sounds very happy to discover this, so I try to follow his lead. If something bad happened at this facility, then surely the sight of another survivor is a good thing, right? We should check it out, he says. I realize this isn't the best moment to leave Dennis after revisiting Tony's death all over again. Someone just ran by the door, I tell him. Hopefully it's someone who can help us. Are you going to be okay? It's fine. Go see who it is, he says, giving me a mock thumbs up. I turn to Marcus and motion for us to head out to investigate. Let's be careful, Marcus says. Depending on who it is, they might not be as hesitant to shoot a stranger as I was. I nod at him and I head for the door. I'm still holding the rifle in my hand and I don't know if I have the guts to actually use it if needed. With a final look back to Dennis, I run out to the second level hallway. Okay. Marcus follows. There's still fear in his eyes, but also the slightest glimmer of hope. That hope is contagious. We take off after the figure that just ran past the command center. Ahead of us, the facility presents yet another long hallway. Right away, I notice that this level of the facility seems darker, even though the lights are now all on. The hallway is adorned with numbered yellow doorways and large white panels along the walls. It's clean and well-maintained, but there's something ominous about it. Up ahead, I see the fleeting motion of something dark cutting quickly to the left down a corridor. There, I say quietly, pointing up ahead. Marcus gives a nod, and we continue chasing after the person we saw blaze by the command center just moments ago. It then occurs to me that this person could be like Marcus was at first, armed and scared. I think we should announce that we're coming. Hey, stop! Who's there? I get no response, and I'm unsure if I should be relieved or upset about this. The last person we met nearly killed me with a rifle. Why would this person be any different? I quickly dart around the corner and take the same shooting stance I've seen countless times on TV. That's not... Don't take shooting advice from television, kids. Don't do it. There's a woman standing there about 10 feet away. She has reddish blonde hair and a small, mousy build. She looks terrified and is visibly shaken. She's probably in her late 30s, wearing a lab coat with dark jeans and green Converse low tops. I have a strange sense that her fear is not just about our sudden appearance. She looks like a woman who's been running scared for a while now. Her hands are raised in surrender. She's not holding a weapon. Marcus slowly approaches, taking a few steps ahead of me. It's Amy, right? He asks. She blinks, seeming surprised that he knows her name. Yes, she says, and you're Marcus. She nods absently and then looks to my rifle. I'm not going to use it. Now, how do I know that? She asks. You're trespassing on government property in the midst of a huge, catastrophic event, and you have a rifle. How am I supposed to believe you? I have a friend back in the command center who needs medical attention, I say, and we're looking for the rest of our crew. I'm really sorry, but I don't know where they are, she says. Do you know what's happened? Marcus asks, from the power outage? I don't know what caused it, she says, but there was an experiment taking place when the outage occurred. Something happened, and she trails off here, giving me a look of distrust. I saw things on the security monitors, Marcus says. The experiment failed, didn't it? I don't know the specifics, Amy says. I barely escaped to the third floor. I was going to go to the command center to see if the security footage showed anything, but then I saw you and the gun. Listening to their conversation, I'm feeling totally in the dark. What experiments? Amy looks to me, her eyes wide and terrified. "Who are you anyway?" she says. I quickly give her my story. A logger stranded in the woods following a peculiar explosion at the logging site. As I tell her, recognition blooms in her eyes. "You're one of the loggers?" "Yes." She then looks to Marcus and says, "I thought they were being watched." "They were," Marcus says. "This was a freak accident and there's no proof they were responsible." I feel myself wanting to submit to all of the questions that are piling up in my head, but Dennis is waiting for me. Ask about medical help. Dennis is the first priority. I decide that despite my curiosity, I need to get Dennis help as soon as humanly possible. "Look, is there any medical help to be had here or not?" I ask. "Probably," Amy says, "but you'd have to find Colonel Barksdale. He knows where all of those sorts of supplies are." "And where is he? Where is everyone else?" I ask. At this, Amy starts to weep. She falls to her knees as if someone has struck her from behind. "Gone," she says. "Some were killed, some were just... I don't know. They disappeared right in front of me." "Disappeared?" "Yes," she answers. "They were here 1 second and gone the next. Just..." She snaps her fingers together for effect. "Gone." "Something's here with us," Amy says. "We were conducting an experiment and it all went horribly wrong. Something came through." "Came through what?" Marcus asks. "I don't even know that much. An entity. But whatever it is, it's still here somewhere," Amy responds. "How could you not know? Don't you have full security access?" I ask. "No, I have access to almost everything, but there are 2 levels of security beyond my clearance." "So what do you suggest we do now?" I ask. "I'm not sure," she says, wiping her tears away. "But if you want to find your crew, we need to find Barksdale. He's in charge." "Where is he?" I ask. "Down on the 3rd level, in the hangar." "Then let's go," I say. "It's not that easy," Amy says, again looking to the rifle in my hands. "Why not?" "Like I said, something came through where the power went out. There's several of them, all roaming the 3rd level." "What came through?" All I know is that the others refer to them as entities. Amy shudders as she recalls the horrors she has seen. "I don't even know how to describe them. I didn't get a good look," she says. "All I did was run for my life. Behind me I just heard screams." I know it's not very scientific of me, but I didn't feel like sticking around to learn more. "She's right," Marcus says, stopping my train of thought. "The things I saw on the monitors. It was crazy." "This is insane," I bark. "I'm going to the 3rd level to find this Barksdale guy. Thanks for your help." "Wait," Marcus says, "I'm sticking with you. If we want to get out of here, we have to find Barksdale, right?" "Yes," Amy says, "but Barksdale's on the 3rd floor and it's too dangerous to go back there." I figure I'll let them make their own decisions. In the meantime, I start heading back to the command center for Dennis. Before I get there, I hear the footfalls behind me getting closer. I give Amy a questioning look as she quickly looks away, clearly torn. Neither one of you know your way around here," she says. "Looking for Barksdale on your own would be suicide." Like it or not, she has a point. "Fine," I say. "Then let's get Dennis from the command center and head down together." Man, this is tense! We enter the command center and I'm happy to see that Dennis has regained some of his color. "We're going to get you some help," I tell him, "and then we're going to find our crew and get the hell out of here." He's gonna need a blood transfusion. "More help will be great," he says. "With the way you ripped my shirt off earlier, I'm not letting you touch me again." "Wait," Amy says, "maybe one of us should stay here with him." "I'll be okay," Dennis says. He stands to his feet with a grunt. You don't know what's out there," Amy says. "I saw them. I saw what they can do. This facility is not safe." "Are there any of them on this floor?" "I'm not sure," she says. "But they are down on the 3rd floor, so we'll need to be careful." Marcus looks a little hesitant, but he nods his agreement, and the 4 of us exit the command center. Heading back out into the hallway, I look back to the monitors. I take a final look at the screen that shows my wrecked logging site and feel a pang of sorrow. When I look to the other monitors showing live feeds of the facility's security cameras, I cannot speak. I try to tell myself that I'm not looking for any sign of Amy's creatures, but I can't. That's exactly what I'm doing, and there's no need to pretend otherwise. We head back through the hall and towards the elevator. The tension exists between us. That is not a correct sentence. The tension that exists between us is like a physical presence. We step inside the elevator, and those pristine doors close. Inside the elevator, Amy seems to become more guarded and distant from us. I want to assure her that I mean her no harm, but I'm also not going to put the rifle down. So you have pretty high clearance in this place, right? I ask her. That's right. So what kind of experiment are we talking about? What went wrong? When she starts to answer my question, I can tell that it is something of a relief for her to get some of it off her chest. There's been a lot of work on a project taking place here over the last 3 years or so. The purpose is to find out if there's any real viable science behind point-to-point instantiation. Like teleporting, I ask? Oh my god, Marcus says. I had no idea. I knew there was some weird stuff here, but nothing this insane. It's really not all that insane, Amy says. We found our first major breakthrough about 9 months ago. We were able to transport a live rat from its cage on level 3 to a small lab in New Mexico. The trip took the rat 5 seconds. Are you kidding me, Dennis says. I can tell that he wants to sound as if he's mocking the idea, but he fails. He's scared. Not at all, Amy says. The problem was that when the rat arrived, its retinas were detached, and its intestines were on the outside of its body. That's not really what you want. You kind of want your intestines to be on the inside. I want my insides on the inside. That's just where they need to stay. I'll just drive to New Mexico if I have to. What does this have to do with us now? Or did you ever perfect it? What does this have to do with us now? Well, about 6 months ago, we successfully made that same experiment. The rat arrived in great health, and this time in just 3 seconds. 2 seconds, wow. I couldn't have waited 2 seconds. Still, one of the things that we needed to tweak in order to make the process completely safe was how to figure out how to keep the subject on a straight course. When the matter's being transported, not only are its atoms being unknit and then put back together upon arrival. Unknit? Yes, deconstructed and translated through space. It's the only way we know how to do it right now. But the issue, as I said, comes in keeping the deconstructed subject on a straight course to its destination. When the process occurs, we are deforming space-time. We're creating a shortcut through space, and that has risks. Why exactly, Dennis asks. Because there are many more dimensions in space than the 3 we exist on, she explains. There's some evidence that there are as many as 10. So when you send the rat to New Mexico, it's traveling through another dimension to get there, I ask. Basically, and because of that, we're trying to get a better understanding of what those other dimensions are capable of. Things that a great deal of the population would be scared of if they knew what we were doing, hence all the privacy. This is weird. Then today, the power went out and we were right in the middle of an experiment. Something happened. What? I don't know. She's speaking with the authority of someone who knows what she's talking about. Is that why those creatures are here? Click it. Thank you. Gosh. That's my assumption, she says. I wasn't present for the experiment. I'm not cleared for such things. But I do get the reports. What reports? Marcus asks. I'm given access to the results of the test. In other words, Marcus replies, clearly upset, you guys have been peeking into other dimensions and taking notes on what you see. I can't believe I've wasted my life for this, he murmurs to himself. He looks like he's starting to freak out. Amy is quiet. Her expression indicates that she's waiting to see how I react to all this. That's incredible. I mean, it is. That's pretty cool. It's also crazy, but it's cool. So this is like interdimensional stuff, I ask? In a way, Amy answers. Marcus, on the other hand, is incredulous. I don't want anything to do with this, he says. All this time I've been working for... He laughs cruelly, and the sound of it makes my blood go cold for a moment. Just a single level beneath my feet, you assholes have been tearing apart space and time, Marcus continues. When the elevator doors open, I can't get out fast enough. The tension is growing way too thick for my liking. Outside of the elevator, we step out into what appears to be a massive industrial area. The carnage waiting for us is unlike anything I've seen on the upper levels. We didn't really see any carnage on the upper levels, except for the monitors.